because what I wanted to go for is like a expanding and contracting. Hi, I'm Wylie, and welcome to my brand new YouTube channel. So first, a quick introduction for anybody who doesn't know me yet. I'm a music producer, composer, sound designer, and mix engineer. I work with artists in the studio, but I also work in film, TV, podcasts, and commercials. Actually, some of you on YouTube may have heard my stuff in Casey Neistat's videos recently. My favorite stuff to do is like push plugins to the limit or like figure out how to use virtual instruments in weird ways. But I also love using hardware too. I like to record my own little sample libraries and things like that. I also love filming and editing little videos, and that's something I've been doing since I was like 11 years old. So I do this on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram as well. So today's video is going to be a production breakdown of the track that I made for the most recent For Producers video over on Andrew Huang's channel. Definitely go check out the other producers who were in that video with me. They were incredible. I just like really highly recommend checking out the series if you haven't. I mean, you're all here from the series. I don't know what I'm talking about. But the song I made is out now on streaming if you want to hear the full thing, but I just thought I would do a little bit of a longer breakdown into how I made it. I do feel like because I was using all of the Arturia products, I was kind of reaching for presets, you know, instead of doing anything super crazy. But if you want any clarification on anything, just ask me in the comments and hopefully I can just like tell you. And I'm new at long form content, so if anything's confusing, that's why, and I'm sorry, and I'll get better. So I love to make music using organic sounds that are processed super digitally. So I'm always just gonna reach for vocals or strings or things that feel warm. And when I saw the augmented voices instrument, I immediately pulled it up. I initially just chose the preset bouncing vowels, but I wanted it to be a little bit more warm and low and less synthesized. And so I went into the more natural octave by choosing the layers here, the male A, E, I, O, U. And I also started playing around with the attack and decay and started playing around with the filter cutoff. And I ended up with this sound. I loved this. I thought it was so pretty. And so immediately I wanted to throw fragments on it. I went to the preset Groove Maker. And this gave me the idea to have like a big drop where it's this sound. So I came up with a little chord progression. I also automated the fine tune on this initial sample right here, so that we kind of bend up into it. Then I threw on fragments and started automating the grain density and size to sort of interact with each other, because what I wanted to go for is like a expanding and contracting, sort of like almost like a breathing kind of thing. And what I ended up there was this. So that's gonna be my main drop chop, and I wanted to thicken it up so it's really big, and so I went into the Emulator 2 to this preset in my memory. I actually automated the frequency on this linked to the cutoff so that I could sort of control when it was more open and bright. Together they sound like this. This is when I started getting the idea for a bass line, and I wanted to choose sort of like a low-key bass. I went to the SQ80 and I ended up with this bass line. Started thinking of a melody here. So I don't usually sing, but I do love to use my vocals, and I like to affect them and sort of like play around with different types of vocal processing, especially on the lead, and sort of imagine like what could a lead sound like and how does that change the overall effect of the song. So what I like to do is actually record like 30 BPM slower and 2 steps down from where it will actually end up. So basically the way that I do that is just by taking something like the bass down 2 steps, and then I would just record it at a slower tempo. So I'm at 90 now. I'm gonna take it down to 60. Really slow. The words that came to me first with this were, I like when you come round. I liked writing about really simple stuff. So I just wanted to make the song about that feeling when you're talking to someone and they just make it easy. You know, that you don't have to think of the next thing to say because they think of it. And you don't have to make the conversation flow because they do. I ended up with these lyrics, and this is what it sounds like when it's pitched up and also sped up.
I like when you come round. You're nice and you help me out when I don't even know my name.
So that's what I ended up with for the verse. Immediately I thought of a counter melody to also go with that in the space that was left. And so I opened up Pigments. This is the coolest, like, best instrument ever for me because I love bonks. So it chooses basically an octave for you to play. So like, this is just me playing one note. So this is the line I ended up writing for that. At this point, I started to think of a drum groove. I saw that in Emulator, they had a ton of drum presets, and I wanted to play around in some of those. One of the things I love about these presets is that you have some leeway to pitch them around, which I always want to pitch drums around because I used to play the drums, so it's like a never not thinking about drum tuning thing. So I made this line with the antenna preset. I wanted to add some more vocals because I love adding vocals to drum grooves, like little bits and pieces. So these are both me. Yep. And altogether my drums sounded like this. So next, what I really wanted to do is create a section for after the big drop moment, chorus, if you will. I just really love like sort of nostalgic 80s dreamy feeling vibes. And so going off of that kind of 80s feel, I wanted to use the Polybrute for this next section. What I did was scroll through the many Polybrute presets, and I chose 1D2, which is a soft OB pad, and then I just cranked that giant master cutoff knob. I did a few performances and ended up with a performance I really liked that sounds like this. So this is another chord progression that's going to come post-chorus. So just opening that up. And I wanted the chords to be, that 80s nostalgic feel. I also wrote this counter melody using the CZ. It's a really simple melody, but I like it. Needed the perfect 80s-ish bass to go under that. I chose the mini, and just wanted something deep and long and pretty and soft. I also wanted to add something random to this post-chorus part, so I immediately went to the Buchla easel because this thing is absolutely wild. I highly recommend playing around in this. You can press one key on this thing and have like hours of material. So I chose the resilience preset and I just kept it really simple. Another thing I wanted for that post-chorus section was to have like the idea of a guitar solo, but not guitar. I just sang little riffs and then sort of time stretched them, and I ended up with this. And then I just added a bunch of cool effects. So this one's the flanger. Added some grit. And reverb. This is the rev intensity. Just kind of blend it out a little bit. That in context is this kind of vibe. And then I also added fragments to this in order to automate a groove coming in from all of the feedback. So if it starts out like this, starts ending up kind of falling into groove. So then, just to really thicken things up, I added a ton more stuff. This little thing, I added this from Emulator. Love this one also from SQ80. It's called Cool Voices, and I really agree with that. And then I just sort of added more vocal chops and rocked out at the end. So one thing I forgot to say during the breakdown is that I never, ever, ever do fade outs on tracks. But for some reason with this track, I was just really feeling that this sort of dreamy 80s nostalgia thing. I don't know if it actually ended up sounding 80s to other people, but to me it did. And so I'm super curious to see if anyone else reacts to that. Like, I feel like it's a weird thing to do now, but maybe I'm overthinking it. So yeah, this song is out on streaming. I've linked it below. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for following if you choose to do so, or subscribing rather. Still getting used to this. You can check me out elsewhere. I've linked everything below. Peace.